Welcome back to Everbloom Hill, everybody. If you're new here, my name is Keisha, and I'm glad to have you here with us. Today, as you see in the title, we're going to cover overcomplicating gender roles, and I'm going to give you two examples of why I think we are overcomplicating gender roles. Join in. And here's one reason why I think we have. I think social media has overcomplicated gender roles because some people go on social media and they're playing a character and it's not really real. They're like, I'm gonna put on my old-fashioned dress and put an apron on and say everything people want to hear, or try to get people to get upset, or kind of draw a reaction out of people instead of being real and nuanced, because marriage isn't just what you want to hear. It's a lot of other factors at play, and you can tell when somebody's being real and when people are saying what you want to hear, or you're trying to get a rise out of people. That should never be the goal. And I do feel like a lot of people are not speaking from experience when they're speaking about marriage or family dynamics. And I do understand that there are people that are being authentic, and that's just their aesthetic, and they like to wear old-fashioned dresses and aprons, and I think that's awesome. But I really think it's important, if you're playing a character, that you tell people, like, hey, this is kind of like a TV show. I have a whole production team behind me helping me do this, and it's not real. I have a lot of help. I think that's also important to say. Personally, I don't have any help. We moved to a different state, so I don't have family help, and we don't have, anybody coming in at this point helping with anything. So just so you guys know that information. And I love that God designed us so unique and different from each other. We're not all cutouts of each other, like woman cut out. No, men cut out. Yes, we are designed. God designed and created marriage, but there's so much uniqueness in each marriage, and that's something I want to cover today as well. I really believe most people have a natural bend towards certain chores or tasks. There's things you enjoy and some things you don't enjoy. Before my husband and I were courting, we were both single parents. So we were doing everything on our own: the cooking, the cleaning, the paying the bills, fixing things around the house. So everything. Each of us was covering. So we had a really good idea by the time we were courting of things that we really liked to do and things we didn't like to do as much. And honestly, I would say we got lucky, because our natural bends are the opposite. This is not always the case, but for us, that's how it is. He mentioned that he didn't really enjoy laundry, but he loved to cook. And I mentioned, I don't really love to cook, but I love to do laundry, or I like to do laundry. I wouldn't say love, I won't go that extreme, but I know I do enjoy it. So to this day, when he's home and not at work, he does most of the cooking for our family, and I do most of the laundry for our family. And it really works well for us, just because we have opposite natural bends. Else that I think overcomplicates gender roles in marriage is that sometimes people put expectations on their spouse of what their mom or dad did before them, or what they saw or they grew up with. Maybe the mom always cooked, maybe the dad handled all the finances, and they assume that their marriage should look the same way. But I think this can be really unfair, because this is not customized to your spouse. God created each marriage And every single person so different from each other. We're not a photocopy of, your mom or your dad. So I think that's so important to keep in mind. That's why I think it's so important to have open and honest conversations about household responsibilities before even getting married. And I would say try to cover as much ground as you can before you get married, so there's less surprises. There still will be things that come up that you didn't think to cover, but try to give you guys the kind of the heads up on any of these things. And I don't think this should be based on the 1940s or 50s culture. I see a lot of this like coming on social media, but I feel like this should be more focused on two image barriers becoming one flesh. Okay, so I'm gonna read a passage that you've probably heard many times before, but I want you to open your ears, open your heart. Jesus' time's about to start. That's something my kids and we sing every day before Jesus' time. Genesis chapter 2, verse 21. So the Lord God caused the man to fall into a deep sleep, and while he was sleeping, he took one of the man's ribs, then closed up the place with flesh. Then the Lord God made a woman from the rib he had taken out of the man, and he brought her to the man. The man said, "This is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She should be called woman, for she was taken out of me, out of man." What I hear here is that God had such a beautiful design for man and woman to become one flesh, and how we were made to work together and be honored with each other, and being taken out of the side, like women were designed to be with the man and create a home, because without that piece, something would be missing. And then it says, that is why a man leaves his father and mother and is united to his wife, and they become one flesh. So that is so beautiful. We don't want to miss anything. We don't want to miss anything in our household. We know each of us brings so much strength. And I just like visualize a man with his body, and then woman was taken out of the side and put together. And the man recognizes, that's bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. Like, that is powerful. We were made to work together as one, but to also leave the father and mother to do this well. And that's why I think it's not overcomplicated. That's why they say man is the head, because literally he's the head. Because woman was taken out of the side, and she has so many skills to bring to the man together. I just think it's very powerful, and you should read it and reread it, because you might get new insight every time you read it. Okay, so here's a little personal story. My husband and I were best friends, so we're always looking for little ways to make life easier for each other. That kind of environment for most of my life wasn't my reality. I was raised in a really critical, scrutinized environment. So being raised in this environment made it hard for me to want to put myself out there and to experiment with cooking. Because when you're young, you're trying things for the first time. And if you don't feel like you're in an environment where it's safe to do that, you kind of freeze up. And that was me. I was really anxious around cooking, so I never let myself explore and experience cooking. That's why I think parents, we could really do a service for our children if we let them play and make mistakes and just feel lighthearted about cleaning and cooking and helping with fixing things around the house, and just encourage them every step of the way. And that, obviously, if it's safe environment, is something really special about my husband and I's marriage is my husband's never put expectations on me. And so our home became a safe place for me to not be perfect. I didn't have to put a show on. And something really beautiful happened because of that. I slowly started trying new things in the kitchen, cooking, baking, experimenting. Now it's actually becoming something I really enjoy. I love sharing that and I love sharing it with my kids. As you heard, oops. Rosie! Rosie, what's your favorite thing to do? Your favorite task to do?
My favorite thing to do is probably cooking.
Cooking?
Yeah.
Oh, you really do like to cook. What do you like to cook the most?
Probably French toast.
Woo, woo. I love her French toast. One time, well, a couple times, she even prepared my plate and Samson's plate. Isn't that sweet? Here's an exercise for people that are perfectionists. Try doing something imperfectly. Just to remind perfectionism, it doesn't have control over you anymore. It's kind of fun. Like, I think YouTube is like an example of that, because you have to like be okay with just being real, you know? So for the first 5 years of our marriage, we both work full time, but my husband could see how hard it was on me to send Rosie to daycare 10 hours a day. So we worked together and we made a plan. We paid off a lot of debt, made our life more simple. And by the time Samson was born, we created enough margin for me to stay home with him. What a blessing. But this only could have been accomplished with both of us being on board and working together to accomplish this goal. I hear little Pocky's coming. Pocky, you want to say hi? I see some people that their marriage, they have separate bank accounts, so it kind of makes it hard to pull everything into a pot, keep each other accountable, and go after a goal. So that's just something to keep in mind. It's no judgment, but I'm just saying, like, I've seen the fruits of working together and being a team and having one goal in mind and work towards it. Also, moving out of state also takes a lot of teamwork and being on the same page and having a heart for one another. Hi, Pocky. Pocky, you want to say hi? Pocky. Pocky, come here. Excuse me, we got a visitor. Pocky, Pock. Say hi. Say hi.
He's a baby puggy.
This decision was not driven by traditional gender roles, but from a mother's heart and a father's willingness to work super hard to make it happen. It happened because two people cared about each other and worked together. Marriages work better when responsibilities are based on strengths, not stereotypes. Yes, I think God designed men and women to be different, aka for men to lead and women to nurture. But when marriages are healthy, these things start to naturally happen, and God works in our hearts. But these things should never be forced on each other, because that only causes resentment and hurt when it's forced upon each other. It's about understanding each other's strengths, supporting each other's weaknesses, and building a life that works for your family. And honestly, none of this would have been possible without God's wisdom guiding us along the way. If you're married or preparing for marriage, how exciting. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoy honest conversations about family, faith, growing through life challenges, or some vlogs here and there, make sure to subscribe so we can keep having these conversations together. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Sydney! Found it!
Our first eggs from the chicken coop. I think they're from different chickens. This one has spots and this one does not. It took them almost 4 months to produce eggs. Thank you, chickens. Best egg I've ever had. So good. I've never had a farm fresh egg, so this is a treat. Check out this beautiful shrub in our yard. I can't get over the beauty of it. And it's just starting to bloom.